Happy Wednesday, everybody. It is August 21st, and it is day 3 of a little vlog series from up here at the cottage. So I am going to keep today brief. We are expecting some thunderstorms shortly. It's been a pretty gray day, but John did manage to get some video footage over at the Beaver Lodge this morning. So I will put that in at the end of our little chat here. It's been a busy day. I've been doing some Evertote sewing most of the day today, and took a bit of a lunch break and went down to the water. Nicholas is learning how to kayak, so he's been super excited about that, and he's always been a little bit nervous about, kind of gets that from me, but he's more brave than I am because he doesn't mind going in the boat if there's a few waves and stuff like that. But he took to the kayak a little more easily than I expected him to, so super proud that that he achieved that today. Other than that, we saw the bear. We did see the bear. In fact, there were 2 sightings of the bear today. My husband saw the bear first thing this morning. The bear was just down by the water, not that far away from our cottage. And then he very quietly tried to get Nicholas to come over to the window to have a look. But even just with that little bit of noise, the bear took off. So the bear is extremely timid, which is an excellent sign for us, because that means that, you know, as long as we're vigilant, it's not going to be a problem bear, which is great. And then I was eating my lunch out in the breeze room, and I was looking across, see the Thousand Islands, it's a grouping of a ton of tiny little islands. So from our little island, I can, out my window, I see, you know, 3 or 4 little islands that really aren't that far away at all. And so I'm looking across at another small island, and most of these little tiny ones are crown land. So they're owned by the government. There aren't any cottages on them. And I was looking across the way, and I saw this small tree kind of moving, and I thought, that's not the wind. That's moving a little too much to be the wind. And sure enough, this black shape kind of popped out of the brush, and I'm like, Nicholas, it's the bear, it's the bear. So we grabbed the binoculars and the camera, and we were trying to have, you know, we went out on the balcony and tried to have a good look, but it was a little too far away. But I'm pretty sure it was the same one that my husband saw this morning. So medium size, definitely not fully grown, medium size, very timid, and was eating the, we have these wild sour cherry trees that are all over the place, and the bears love the fruit from those. So you could see him pulling down these small trees and sort of stripping off the fruit from that. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool this morning. Okay, stitching. I got some stitching done. Still working on Quaker Diamonds, Rosewood Manor, 28 count Picture This Plus doubloon, pretty sure. And I'm using a conversion of Vicki Clayton hand-dyed silks that are no longer available. I know I repeat myself, but lots of times people, you know, people join in all the time who are new and they haven't heard this. So just, I try to think as though someone new is stopping by and for a visit. And if you are new, hello, welcome. My name's Caroline. I always forget to do that. I just kind of jump right in, and I need to work on introducing myself. Are you ready? You can kind of see it at the bottom. Look, I finished that the diamond motif that's here. It's called Quaker Diamonds, Caroline. It's not a star, it's a diamond. So this one is completely finished. And I had so much fun last night. I stayed up later than everybody else, and I worked until it was done. So let me take you in nice and close so you can see the color in that. It is so pretty. I'm in love with it. Totally in love with it. So that was great. I didn't do any knitting, so I have no knitting to share with you today. I know I was going to show the other wrap that I'm working on, but it's a bit boring, frankly. It's just very plain knitting. So I will show it eventually sometime this week, but I don't have it here with me today. So moving on to cottage stuff, because I managed to convince John to go and film the stuff at the Beaver Lodge, I thought, I'm going to press my luck a little bit. And I said, you know, now that you've kind of gotten in, you know, you've sort of broken the ice with doing some recording, how would you feel about maybe, you know, sitting down and answering a few questions with me? And at first he was like, no, I don't really want to do that. And then I sweetened him up a little bit, and I think that I'm going to be able to get him to come on tomorrow and have a little chat with me. So I only have a few questions today that I'm going to answer, just a couple. And then I'm going to save the other questions that are more, you know, more based on like functionality of how we do things around here, and kind of have a discussion with him about those questions that you've got not live, but I'll film them. I'll film us talking about them. And so if there's any other question that you can think of that you have to ask about how we live up here, or what, you know, certain things that he has to do around here, about the building of it or our different power sources, you know, feel free to ask away. I'm not sure we can fit everything in. I'm limited with the amount of time I have to upload these videos because our data is limited. Anyway, so the three questions I've got to talk about today, first of all, first one comes from Trish. And Trish wanted to know, let me move this. I'm wondering if that's going to catch the, no, it's the sun coming in. So, sorry, I know it's a bit bright today. However, I'm going to enjoy that little bit of brightness that's coming in because I think it's going to get really dark in a couple of hours with the thunderstorms. Okay, Trish wants to know how far away my in-laws' place is. And I mentioned before that we're on about 5 acres and he's on about 5 acres. And our lots, you know, abut each other. So basically from our door, you know, we walk out and it takes less than a minute to walk to his cottage. My mother-in-law passed away in 2015. So I call it my in-laws' place, but it is now just my father-in-law who lives there. I've shown some pictures from what I call the front of the cottage, the sunset picture yesterday. You might see a little boathouse there. Oh, John was fishing off the boathouse yesterday. And the sort of boat that looks like a tugboat, that's my father-in-law's boat. And that boathouse is directly in front of where his cottage is. So I'm taking those photos from our deck, and that's kind of how far away it is. So less than a minute to walk to his place. We can't actually see his cottage from our cottage. There's too many trees and too much stuff in between. So our place is very private, and so is his. And we get along really well. So it's been a pretty great arrangement. Was it also Trish? Yes, Trish also wanted to know, have you ever forgotten or ran out of a favorite food? All the time. All the time. We were almost out of coffee yesterday, but we knew my father-in-law was going into town today, so we weren't ready to panic just yet. It is a 3-hour round trip to go into town. So that's why we rely heavily on lists. We make a lot of lists about everything that we need to take with us. And so the kids know, if we don't have it here, chances are pretty good that we're just going to do without. And so, you know, when you talk about running out of a favorite food, well, sure, it happens to everyone, but we just don't have a grocery store across the street. So we are pretty careful with our lists, but generally once a week there's always somebody going to town. So it's not like we have to do without for too long, not like the whole summer or something like that. Have we ever forgotten stuff? All the time. You can make as many lists as you want, you're still going to forget stuff. My daughter is back in London, and so she and John will go home, or she will come up. So there's always somebody at the house in London. There's always somebody here. So if somebody has forgotten something here, generally there's somebody coming up within the next couple of days, and we'll get them to bring it up from the house. So yeah, we always forget stuff, and we always run out of stuff. But we try not to. We're used to it, so it really doesn't. It doesn't bother us. We just make do, or we just use something else. Okay, Michelle asked which island we're on. And I'm glad you asked this because it gives me a chance to say this publicly. I'm really sorry, but I'm not going to actually be telling publicly which actual island that we're on. It's just not a good idea for me to be sharing that information. It's a very small island and there's only a couple of people on it. So it's just for our own privacy. I won't be sharing the name of the actual island. So I hope you guys understand, and thank you. Julie and at least one or two other people wanted to know what Timbits are, because I shared in my little kitchen video yesterday the enormous box of Timbits. Timbits are they're a Canadian staple. You know, when you go to early morning hockey games and you take your kids to the hockey rink, you usually pick up a box of Timbits for the kids. And if you're headed over to a friend's house for a play date, somebody stops and picks up some Timbits and coffee for the grown-ups, and Timbits for the kids. Timbits are just a little donut, but they're round. So like they're the inside, what you would imagine to be the inside part of a round donut that's missing the hole. They're kind of like the donut hole, but they're round. And they're delicious. And they come in all different kinds of flavors, you know, chocolate glazed, vanilla. People always knew when I was bringing the Timbits, there wouldn't be a raisin to be seen. I like raisins, I just don't like them in my Timbits. So that's what a Timbit is. It's a little donut. It comes from Tim Hortons, and Tim Hortons is our national coffee chain, started by Tim Horton and his partner. And it's really unfortunate. I know he started it with a partner, but the poor partner never gets credit, because I don't think people can remember who it was. He was a hockey player, and I believe the first location was in Hamilton, Ontario. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, if I have my information incorrect there. However, it's a Canadian coffee chain. You can now find them in some of the upper northern states. I know I've been to a couple there. We had this discussion at the New Jersey Floss Tube retreat. The coffee at the American Tim Hortons does not taste the same as the coffee from the Canadian Tim Hortons. So if you are visiting Canada and you like your coffee with 2 creams and 2 sugars, you will sound like a true Canadian if you order your coffee as a double. So you'd say, I'd like a large double, please. And then you're going to get a nice large coffee with 2 creams and 2 sugars. Some people like triple, which is triple cream, triple sugar. So there you go, a little bit of Canadianism. That's what Timbits are. They're fabulous. And if you have a chance to visit a Canadian and be taken out to Tim Hortons, now you'll know what you're ordering. So thanks for the questions, you guys. Those were great. So I hope to be back tomorrow with John. And if you have some questions that you are interested in having him answer, then feel free to leave me a few comments below. I've got some questions that I've held over from yesterday's video, and I'm gonna discuss those with him tomorrow. So I guess it's time to share the Beaver Lodge footage with you now. I hope you enjoy it. I think John had fun recording it. So that's it for me today. I've got a little bit more sewing to get done this afternoon, and I'm going to be listening to an audiobook while I do that. It's I'll tell you more about the audiobook tomorrow. I'm only about an hour in, but I'm enjoying it so far. So I'll tell you more about that tomorrow. And then we're going to have dinner with my father-in-law. We cook for him most nights. He comes and eats with us here most nights. And then more MasterChef tonight and more stitching. So hopefully I'm gonna try really hard to make it over to the edge. I don't know if that'll happen tonight. We'll see. Thanks for joining me. Thank you for hanging out with me here and being so interested in everything that goes along here. It's been really fun to try and see this place through the eyes of people who have never been here, and kind of share some of the cool things that we do. So that's it for me. I'll see you tomorrow, and happy stitching.
The Beaver Dam Chronicles, Take 2, and action. There doesn't seem to be too much action at the Beaver Dam these days. Beaver Dam is a little bit flooded with water. Water's up about 2 to 3 feet from several years ago, and so I don't believe there is actually beaver in the dam at the moment. Although over the years, last 30, 40 years, there's almost always been a family of beavers living there. It's actually called a beaver lodge, beaver dam being the thing that they dam up a river with to catch fish, and the lodge is where they live, but for whatever reason we've always called it the beaver dam. So hopefully one day they'll come back and make another home there.